Hey y'all, and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing the 10 gender-neutral baby names that we love but will not be using. This is my second time filming this video. I filmed this video on Tuesday night and completely erased the footage on Wednesday when I was going to upload it. It absolutely broke my heart, but we are going to refilm it for you guys. So let's go ahead and hop into the 10 gender-neutral baby names that I absolutely love but will not be using. The first gender-neutral baby name that we love but will not be using is Tristan. My husband absolutely 100% loves this name. If we ever had a little boy, he said that's what he wanted to name him. But I see Tristan more as a girl name and he sees it more as a boy name. So we really can't agree on which gender to name Tristan. Even if we did have a little girl, I wouldn't choose to name her Tristan just because we already have a little girl name picked out and it's not Tristan. But I definitely don't feel like I would name my son Tristan, but that's just my personal opinion. The second baby name that we love but will not be using that is unisex is Reese. And around here it is a very popular middle name. Actually, where I live, I have a neighbor who lives in front of me whose granddaughter's middle name is Reese, and they call her Reese. And I have a neighbor to the right of us who just had a little boy, and his middle name is Reese. And around here in the South, we are very close to our neighbors. So, of course, I wouldn't want to use the name Reese and then think I was naming my child after one of their grandchildren or one of their children, if that makes sense. So that's why I won't be using the baby name Reese, but I absolutely love that for a middle name. The third baby name that we love but will not be using is Tegan. I really like that name, but I absolutely cannot get Chrissy Teigen out of my head when I think of it, and I don't want to think of a celebrity when I think of my child. I don't know if it's just me. I mean, I'm well aware that someone out there is going to have the same name as my son or daughter, but I don't like it when a specific person pops up into my head when I think of a name. So that's why we will not be using the baby name of Tegan, even though I love it. The fourth baby name that we love but will not be using is Shiloh. And that is because around here, a very popular restaurant off of one of our exits is Shiloh's. And I don't want people to think that I named my son or my daughter after the restaurant or Angelina Jolie's child. The fifth baby name that we love but will not be using is Lennox. And when I think of this name, I actually think of a TV show called Melissa and Joey, and the daughter's name was Lennox. And I absolutely love that name, but my husband just wasn't really on board with it. So that is why we won't be using that baby name. The sixth baby name that we love but will not be using is Linen. And when I approached my husband with it, he said he thought of like clothing, like your linens to go wash them. So he wasn't down with that name, so that's why we won't be using that one. The seventh baby name that we love but will not be using is Kennedy. And when I had talked to my husband about it, he informed me that several of the people that he used to work with actually had daughters named Kennedy, and that's why he didn't really feel as drawn to the name as I was. So unfortunately, we will not be using that name either. The eighth baby name that we love but will not be using is Blake. And I can think of two reasons why I will not be using this one. And it's because Blake Shelton and Blake Lively. Generally speaking, when you say that name, people either think of Blake Lively or Blake Shelton. It's one of the two. And I love that name, but I can't get those two people out of my head. So we will not be using that one either. The ninth baby name that we love but will not be using is Skylar. I actually went to high school with a boy named Skylar, and that's where I first heard the name and fell in love with it. But it has been rising in popularity recently, and that's why I will not be using that name. I'm not the type of person who really likes popular names. I mean, I'm not naive enough to think it's going to be their name and nobody else is going to be named that. However, I want it to be a little bit more unique and not as popular or even on the rise when I name my child. Does that make sense? That brings me to the 10th baby name that we love but will not be using. And this is probably my favorite, and I didn't expect it to be my favorite, but that is Charlie. And I would have actually named my daughter this. And the reason for that is because my dad's name is Charles, and my grandfather's name was Charles. And my father did not have a son to carry on his last name. They just had me. So I was going to carry on some version of his name, some way, shape, form, or fashion. I was actually going to name my daughter Charlie. But the reason I won't be using the baby name of Charlie is because one of my high school friends actually just had a little girl and named her Charlie. And I try to stay away from baby names that are on my personal Facebook. Like if one of my friends on my personal Facebook names their child Charlie, I try to steer away from that name because I don't want them to think that I'm naming my child after their child, because that would aggravate me if I was them. So that's why I'm not going to be using the baby name of Charlie. And that brings me to the end of this gender neutral baby name list. I will 100% say that I'm not swearing off any of these names entirely, because the names that are popular now probably won't be very popular maybe when I'm having kids, depending on when I have them. I don't know if I've said this or not, but I actually already have a baby boy and a baby girl name picked out that as of right now are our definites, and they are on neither one of these lists. I have the first and the middle name picked out. I pretty well know that I'm not going to be using any of these names. I'm not swearing any of them off. Like I said, I do want 4 kids, and I don't know what their genders are going to be, but I have a boy name and I have a girl name, so if I get one of each, I've already got it picked. If I get more than that, then I might pull from this list. I'm not making any promises. But guys, if you did like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I would love to have you stick around. And if you want to get notified when I upload a video, you can hit that little bell as well. Anyway, guys, I hope you all are having a blessed morning, evening, noon, night, whatever time it is you're watching this, wherever you are. I hope it's blessed. And I'll see you all in my next one. Bye, guys.